It seems appropriate to start Dave Salmon's photo gallery with his wintry shot of USA Class 30072 moving towards the back road at Guildford MPD on the morning of the 21st of January 1966. This interesting locomotive was one of 14 locos designed and built by the United States Army Transportation Corps in 1942 and purchased by the Southern Railway in 1946 for use at Southampton docks. Before entering traffic, the class was fitted with modified cab, bunkers and other detailed alterations such as steam heating, vacuum ejectors, sliding cab windows, additional lamp irons and new cylinder drain cocks, plus other modifications became necessary, including 3 rectangular cab front lookout windows, and the coal bunkers were extended to increase capacity from 2600 weight to 3000 weight. There is a light covering of snow on the ground as N-Class 31411 moves down from the coal stage towards Farnham Road Bridge and the turntable at Guildford Shed on the 21st of January 1966. USA Class 30072 runs up the middle road to reverse into the coal road as N-Class 31842 shunts some vans into the up-yard dock in the carriage sidings. Along with USA Class 30072, an assortment of BR standards stabled in Guildford Newshed including Class 4 MT 76066. A further assortment of BR standards stabled in Guildford Newshed, including Class 3 MT 77014 and a JB type 1600-600 horsepower electro diesel, a changing sign of the times. This photo shows rebuilt Battle of Britain Class 34052 Lord Dowding at Guildford, heading an interesting SCTS 4 Counties Special rail tour to Salisbury via Guildford and Havant on the 9th of October 1966. Guildford crew driver Jim Wattleworth and fireman Ken Earl are about to work the train on this leg of the tour. Guildford fireman Ken Earl keeps a close eye on the water level in the tender before leaving with the train to Salisbury. Guildford fireman John Bundy looks on from platform 3 at Guildford as the train departs, and other photographers wait to capture the moment of departure. Rebuilt Merchant Navy Class 35008 Orient Line undergoes a piston valve exam in No. 2 Road of the new shed in 1966. Quite a number of exams of Bully class locomotives were performed at Guildford. However, because the turntable wasn't long enough to turn this class of locomotive, the exams were carried out in No. 2 Road, as the locomotive could be driven straight across the turntable into No. 2 Road from the new pit. A fairly quiet day at Guildford Shed as viewed from Farnham Road Bridge. Although there are some steam locomotives hidden away in the new shed, the only locomotive visible are Drury 204 HP shunter and a 1550 horsepower Crompton diesel electric locomotive. A partly clean USA Class 30072 waits for her next call of duty in the old shed, and a not to be moved board has been placed on the tender of a locomotive in the next road. This photo shows the cab details of a Bully Pacific locomotive having been split from its tender. This would allow this part of the locomotive to be moved to another part of the shed by the pilot locomotive for repair work to be carried out. Another view of the cab front of a Bully Pacific locomotive, this time original West Country Class Pacific 34002 Salisbury. An interesting feature fitted to the original Bully Pacifics was a steam-operated fire-hold door foot treadle. When connected and steam valves opened, it allowed the Ajax fire-hold door to be opened and closed by pressing and releasing the foot treadle. The equipment was quite ingenious, and when the foot treadle was released, the fire-hold door immediately closed, and this prevented excess secondary air from entering the fire-hold door when firing. However, it required practice to get into a rhythm, but when working correctly, it was a superb piece of equipment. An atmospheric shot of BR Standard Class 5MT 73092 and another BR Standard taken in the new shed. Standing in number 1 road, adjacent to 73092, is BR Standard Class 5MT 73118, making another atmospheric photograph. BR Standard Class 5MT 73087 Lynette moves from the old pit towards the turntable at Guildford Shed. With careful balancing, all the Class 5MT standards could be turned on Guildford's turntable by using vacuum control or by hand. BR Standard Class 5MT 73155 stands in the back road Guildford minus her connecting rods, awaiting a fitter's attention. The locomotive was hauled back from Basingstoke by D6500 on the 29th of April 1966, following a failure. However, after repairs were completed, she remained in service until the final day of steam on the 9th of July 1967. This shot shows the cab of 73155, the connecting rods having been removed, and can be seen with the big ends of her connecting rods protruding from the firebox. A further shot of the cab BR Standard Class 73155, this time showing the sliding cab roof. USA Class 30072 was the last shunting engine to have the honour of being the shed pilot, and is seen standing in the Stores Road of the old shed. Since 1961, when I started work as an engine cleaner, I witnessed a progression of shed shunting locos, the first being B4 Class 30089, followed by USA Class 30064, and finally 30072. A different angle of USA Class 30072, as BR Standard Class 3MT 77014, is being turned on the turntable. Driver Alex McClyman poses for a photograph aboard Class 3MT Standard 77014. Most of the class were originally based around the northeast of Scotland, but 77014 had been transferred to the southern region in 1966. A succession of photographs come next of BR Standard Class 5MT 73118 King Leathergrants moving Guildford's breakdown crane. BR Standard Class 4MT 76027 enters the reception road towards the coal stage at Guildford for disposal. A fine shot of double-chimneyed BR Standard Class 4MT 75074 as she waits on the coal road for her next turn of duty. Original West Country Class 34023 Blackmore Vale, minus her nameplates, is berthed on the coal road at Guildford. BR Standard Class 5MT 73110, the Red Knight, has just arrived at Guildford's coal stage for disposal duties. Coalman Steve Burke looks up at the number of rebuilt Battle of Britain Class 34060, which once proudly displayed the nameplate and crest of 2-5 Squadron. A complete reversal as Coalman Steve Burke shovels coal from the tender of N Class 31873 into the coal crane Skip before she is hauled to Eastleigh for scrap on the 28th of January 1966. For some reason, the tender has been partially cleaned and would have needed a stepladder to finish the job. USA Class 30072 has hauled the locomotive there to have her coal removed, and in the back road, Q1 Class 33027, minus her smokebox number and shed plate, waits for her next turn of duty. This shot shows a broader view of proceedings as Steve removes the coal from the tender of N Class 31873. A ground view of the motion of BR Standard Class 5MT 73086, the Green Knight, as she stands berthed in the coal road at Guildford Coal Stage. An unidentified rebuilt West Country class locomotive stands behind her minus her nameplates. BR Standard Class 5MT 73041 waits in turn to be moved from the coal stage to the shed. Guildford MPD was never short of bullied Pacific visitors, this one being original Battle of Britain Class 34086 219 Squadron, standing outside the coalman's hut. This photograph shows the same locomotive, but this time she's been moved and berthed in the back road of the coal stage. BR Standard Class 5MT 73113 Lioness stands berthed in the back road at Guildford Coal Stage. Rebuilt Battle of Britain Class 34088 213 Squadron, devoid of nameplates, moves up towards the exit signal of the reception road. Basingstoke's 70D BR Standard Class 4MT 76016 rest outside the coalman's hut at Guildford MPD following disposal. With the demise of steam gathering pace, such items as number plates and especially nameplates became very much collector's items, and unauthorised removal increased at a steady rate. Designed at Doncaster and introduced in 1953, 115 of these locomotives were built and served a number of southern region depots. This photograph could easily be mistaken for a David Shepherd painting, as N Class 31405 moves down towards the second coaling crane at Guildford Coal Stage in June 1966. Captured the same day in June 1966, this photograph shows the cab layout of N Class 31405 whilst at the coal stage Guildford. An oil feeder can be seen sitting in the dish, and the warning notice on the driver's side reads, "Warning, it is dangerous to lean out of the cab when passing stations or other structures. When necessary to lean out, be careful." The driver of N Class 31411 moves the locomotive down towards one of the electric cranes to be coaled as the fireman commences disposal duties on the fire. The steam being emitted from the tender is coming from the steam heating connection pipe, which has a faulty valve. A Type 3 Crompton 1550 horsepower diesel electric locomotive can be seen berthed in the back road. Original West Country Class 34015 Exmouth is berthed on the coal road at the coal stage at Guildford awaiting her next turn of duty, which would probably be working stone train empties from Woking Yard to Meldon Quarry. A closer look at the outside motion of the three-cylinder Pacific, the middle motion being chain-driven within an oil bath. Rebuilt Battle of Britain class 34056 Croydon stands on the coal road waiting for a next turn of duty, which will probably be the 1402 stone train empties from Woking Yard to Salisbury. Before this could take place, the locomotive would have to be turned via the triangle at Weybridge and Addleston Junction, as a turntable at Guildford MPD wasn't big enough to accommodate this class of locomotive. This photo shows the same locomotive, but this day she's berthed in the back road at Guildford Coal Stage. BR Standard Class 5MT 73170 has suffered irreparable damage to one of her cylinders in June 1966 and is destined for the scrapyard. Built at Doncaster in 1957, she had only been in service for just over 9 years. This picture shows the cylinder damage to 73170, which was probably caused by water entering the cylinder at the moment of compression. Rebuilt Battle of Britain class 34071 601 Squadron stands in the back road of the coal stage at Guildford, and with her nameplates and smokebox number plate missing, looks a sorry sight. Two BR Standard Class 4MT tank locomotives are berthed in the back road of the coal stage, the nearest being number 80085, the other being unidentifiable. An extremely clean rebuilt Battle of Britain class 34089 602 Squadron is seen at Guildford Station on the Down Cobham line shortly after the locomotive had worked a raw train. This photo shows that Dave has joined some of the fitters that worked at Guildford MPD in the 1960s. With Dave Salmon are Bob West, Reg Patrick, Ivor Hopkins, Brian Mitchener and Henry Walsh. The men posed together on the turntable with BR Standard Class 3MT 77014. BR Standard Class 4MT 76053 stands over the pit waiting for coal at Guildford MPD. The disc boards affixed to the smokebox denote that she's run light engine to Guildford, probably from Woking. Driver Jack Ward moves BR Standard Class 5MT 73118 onto the turntable from the new shed on the 17th of June 1967, whilst Claude Johns waits to perform the turning task. In the background, a train made up of 4-core EMU Nelson stock waits to leave from platform 5 for Waterloo. The balancing of a BR Class 5MT standard locomotive on the turntable was quite critical, and Claude Johns is issuing further instructions via a hand signal to get things just right. USA Class 30072 returns to Guildford with an REC Star and Garter special excursion, crewed by Guildford driver Jimmy Luff and fireman Ian Barnett. The train was put on specially to transport their members to and from their annual dinner at Deepdene on the 4th of February 1967. Guildford driver Jimmy Luff, fireman Ian Barnett and a young-looking traction inspector, Tim Crowley, in the cab of USA Class 30072 following an REC Star and Garter Special excursion. Driver Jack Cook strides across the well of the turntable towards fireman Jeff Ball as BR Standard Class 5MT 73037 is being turned. Locomotives could be turned manually or on this occasion by vacuum, this being created by connecting the vacuum pipe of the locomotive and the driver creating the vacuum brake. Steam Razor Claude Johns adjusts the injector to replenish the boiler of BR Standard Class 4MT 76033 at Guildford Coal Stage. BR Standard Class 4MT 75066 stands in the coal road of the coal stage, awaiting her next turn of duty. A telephoto shot from Farnham Road Bridge looking north towards the coal stage reveals an unidentified original Bulleid Pacific locomotive next to an empty ash wagon. A 2-Hal electric leads further formation in the carriage sidings in the up yard. Rebuilt Battle of Britain Class 34060-25 Squadron stands berthed on the coal road at Guildford. The smokebox plates and nameplates have already been stripped from the locomotive. There's steam abound as a van train is being assembled in Guildford Up Yard by an unidentified BR Standard Class locomotive. Another telephoto shot looking towards Yorkeys Bridge as the same van train leaves Guildford Up Yard. A young Jeff Birch takes water on original Battle of Britain Class 34086-219 Squadron before leaving light engine to Woking Down Yard to work the stone train empties to Salisbury. The crew of an unidentified BR Standard Class 5MT locomotive replenished the tender utilising the water column at the country end of Platform 2 at Guildford. This Waterloo-Bournemouth train has been diverted via Guildford and Havant because of the Bournemouth electrification scheme. Coalman Steve Burke poses for his photograph on rebuilt West Country Class 34018 Axminster in the back road at the coal stage. BR Standard Class 4MT 75068 has completed her disposal duties and awaits coal replenishment before heading off from the coal stage to the turntable at Guildford. BR Standard Class 4MT 76031 is berthed in the back road at Guildford Coal Stage. BR Standard 5MT 73093 can also be seen berthed on the coal road. BR Standard Class 5MT 73093 undergoes disposal duties at Guildford Coal Stage on the 21st of May 1967. Rebuilt West Country Class 34018 Axminster, minus her nameplates and crests, stands in the back road of the coal stage adjacent to the dock. Her smokebox number plate and shed plate are also missing and have been drawn on in chalk. This wide-angle view shows the same locomotive with rebuilt Battle of Britain Class 34060-25 Squadron berthed on the coal road. BR Standard Class 5MT 73118 King Leonidas is waiting to move from the coal stage towards the old pit and turntable at Guildford. BR Standard Class 4MT 76031 moves off the Guildford turntable into number 1 road of the new shed on the 17th of June 1967. BR Standard Class 5MT 73155 stands halfway onto the turntable as she takes water before her final journey to Salisbury with BR Standard Class 5MT 73118 on Sunday the 9th of July 1967. The replacement for steam traction in the future, Type 3 Crompton number D6545, is seen just beyond Farnham Road Bridge. For those of you parking at Farnham Road multi-storey car park in the future, to enter the car park, you will be driving under the bridge exactly where the Cromptons berthed. It's now hard to believe that the shed ever existed. My driver that day was driver Bill Brain, and can be seen here in the cab of number 73155 as I replenish the tender. Before we leave, coupled to 73118, light engines to Salisbury. USA Class 30072 stands outside the cleaner's cabin adjacent to the new shed at Guildford before a final journey to Salisbury on Sunday the 9th of July 1967. USA Class 30072 is being turned in preparation for a final journey from Guildford Shed to Salisbury via Fratton on the final day of steam, Sunday 9th of July 1967. This photograph, along with 2 others taken by Richard Greenwood MBE, were chosen to be etched on the 50th anniversary plaque. The plaque was unveiled by Richard at a ceremony exactly 50 years later, on Sunday the 9th of July 2017. USA Class 30072 replenishes her tanks with water before a final journey with the Fratton crew. Note the West Ham football scarf hanging on the front of the smoke box. I'm certain Dave placed it there as he supported West Ham. USA Class 30072 takes on coal for its final journey from Guildford on the last day of steam, 9th of July 1967. The last steamer from 70C is chalked on the side of USA Class 30072 as she heads for the portal of the Chalk Tunnel on her last journey from Guildford to Salisbury via Havant and Fratton. The blue haze surrounding the locomotive is from the exploding detonators put down on the rails by someone to hail a last farewell. This shot shows the empty shed after the locomotives had departed. The boilersmith shop was situated on the right of the photograph. This view is of the empty new shed. The fitter's hut can be seen at the far end. The store's clock says 12:35 and all the locomotives have departed. The store's hatch remains open, but nothing will be served through this hatch again. A racing bike is propped against the Factories Act notice cases, but sadly this is the end of the road for what was once a bustling workplace. I'd certainly like £1 for every time that I'd been served by the storeman at this hatch. Anything from engine oil, paraffin and locomotive tools to an exchange of cloths. A white one, a brown one. Where's your dirty one? The storeman would ask. One of the storesmen had a small leather suitcase from which he sold gents' toiletries to drivers and firemen, young and old alike. Something for the weekend, sir? A demoralising sight as Guildford Shed is being demolished following its closure in July 1967. The asbestos sheeting has already been stripped from the roof, all rails into the shed have also been removed, and the ironwork over the structure will be next. The prefabricated hut that housed the table crew and engine cleaning gang where I first started work, still remains, but it's minus its front wall panel and door. A further view from Farnham Road Bridge of the demolition of Guildford Shed. In the foreground, the building with the strip roof served as the running foreman's office and ambulance room, the driver's cabin being adjoined to this nearer to the bridge wall. Every Saturday morning, one of the engine cleaners, quite often me, and a job which I hated, would be tasked with scrubbing the stained linoleum floors of this building with carbolic soap. The stores foreman's office and fitter foreman's office would also receive the same treatment. The archway to the right of the office led to the driver's locker room. The brickwork to the left of the photo was the gable end of the second floor main office, where the shedmaster and his chief clerk, list clerk and pay clerks were situated. This photograph has been taken from the dock adjacent to the back road of the coal stage. The coalman's hut still stands, but the structure that enclosed the coal stage has been completely demolished and the asbestos roofing has been thrown in the pit, probably still there today under the tarmac of the car park. A further view of the demolition of the coal stage area, and both the Volks electric cranes have disappeared. A van train for Red Hill, worked by a 1550 horsepower Crompton, is about to depart from platform 8.